Welcome to Leading a Live Smart Suite lesson, presented by Rod Hooper, an instructional technology curriculum coach for the St. Lawrence Louis BOCES Model Schools program. First thing we're going to do, uploading and preparing a new smart file. I always like to work out of my Google Drive, and I go to my Smart Learning Suite folder, where I then will add a new Smart Learning Suite item, and that's found under More. Now this part takes a while, so I've cut a little bit of it out so you don't have to sit here watching it spin. I'm going to add content. I'm going to import from my computer because I chose a actual Smart Notebook file that I created for my lesson. You can do PDFs, you can do many different files, but in this case I am using an actual Smart Notebook file. And this again takes a while too, and I cut that a little bit so you didn't have to sit through all of it. Alright, first thing we got to do is we have to analyze our pages to see if we wish to make it interactive or not. So here's a team bell ringer, so I'm going to break my kids up into teams. So I'm going to make this a collaborative. So I'm going to choose the collaborative option. This means 2 people or more, depending on my groups, will be able to draw on it. Here's a video that I have inserted on that page. I'm going to then look at this page and say, okay, I'm going to make this interactive, but this is just going to be for an individual. And I'm going to do the same thing for this file. So I'm going through all of my documents, or my files, my pages, and I'm choosing whether or not, here's the team one, I'm going to make this one collaborative so they can work on this one together. So this is the first thing you have to do. You have to set this all up. Another team one. And by the way, those little tally marks are infinitely cloned. That's why I like using Smart Notebook. This page looks a little plain, so I didn't do it in Notebook, but I could still go and search for an image here just to take up that space. We're talking about measuring, so what better than a measuring tape? And I just lock it to keep myself from accidentally moving it. This is not a page that I'm making interactive, it's just for display. And here's another team one, so I'm going to have a group or a team work on this. So I'm going to make sure I choose collaborative, and I'm going to keep going down through my list. I'm going to make this one individual. Another information page. And then you'll see that I have a learning activity, a monster quiz activity, and then I have a student response, so that's where they're going to actually answer questions. And this was all created in Smart Notebook ahead of time. Well, I think I'll add a shouted out activity. This allows me to check for understanding. I can have them type in, or I could choose images if I wanted to have them submit images. And then I guess I'm finished, so I'm going to click finish, and it's going to open this where you could see that I already have 2 students already signed into my class. So I'm ready to go. Now what you're going to see is the student view and the teacher view. Now the student view is easily recognizable because I have actually 2 students showing up on the monitor for you. There's a student A and a student B. So anytime you see the 2 side-by-side pictures, we're in student mode. Teacher view will always be the single one. So I'll jump back and forth from now on. So here I am in teacher view. I am creating my teams. I only have 2 students, so I'm going to just make them one team. If I had more than 2 students, I could make multiple teams. So we are in student view now. You can see how when student A drags something up, it's going to appear to student 2, so the 2 of them could collaborate on the page. And as a teacher, I can go in and collaborate with this group and then change to another group if I wanted to also, and you'll see that picture shortly. We'll let these kids get some work done. And of course, if I'm remote, I would be using Zoom or Meet, and I would be talking to everybody, and I could be going into each group's page. What I'm showing here is this student is choosing to get an apple, a picture of an apple. The question's about apples, so he got a picture of an apple. He's going to resize it, and he could use a bunch of apples and copy that and do it many times, but then he just noticed the apple in the corner, which I have infinitely cloned like the numbers. So instead of continuing to drag over or copy his apple, he can just drag off and do these apples. It's especially nice if students do not have touch devices to reduce the amount of writing. So if you provide the numbers, the letters, the shapes with the infinite cloning, it makes it really handy for them. This is another reason I love to use the Smart Notebook software. So they're working out the problem. 12 apples. Take away 9. And now they just solved it. Now here it is at the teacher view. I could see the work they've just done. I'm looking at the whole class because there is only one group. That whole class would have a drop down if there were multiple groups where you could choose to go in and see them. And I have the same tools that the students do, so I can write nice work on there. And then at the bottom left, I'm going to click to go to the next page, and this is the one with the video, so the students would have this on their device. They could then click play and watch it on their own. Now I have switched to the continuing page. This one actually is going to show, when you see this is for individual activities. So one student has started it, so I can go in now and see that student. I can collaborate with that student if I want. Where that drop down is saying sample student 2, if more of them had started this, I could choose to go to the next one from that drop down. Also, you'll see in an upcoming slide, when more than one person has their activity open, there'll be a left and right arrow over towards the right that you could toggle also. So here's the student view. Student A and student B, they're doing their work, measuring with the locked but allow move ruler that is right in the Smart Notebook software. And of course the bars are just made with a shape, and I got the swimming pool for my placing of the possible answers as a picture on the internet. So this person is choosing to write the answer in because I didn't have it written, but remember, I'm live either in class or over Zoom, and I said, okay, so what is the difference? They could have also clicked on the A. So now that I have both of them, you can see I can jump between the sheets by doing that or going to the arrows. And I'll just demonstrate that you can, instead of writing, if writing is too difficult, you can use the A and actually add font. You can do the font size first and type it in, or I could have just typed it in and then resized the text to make it bigger. Alright, another one, individual worksheets, so the students have to start it themselves. And now that they have in my teacher view, I'd be able to go in and check, see what they're doing. And you've got the idea, so I'll just go forward now. So here's another collaborative one. And that was the student view of what a collaborative one looks like as I'm trying to put the teams together. So it's kind of hard to see, but I took a snapshot of the previous question and I made it in a frame so they don't have to keep going back and forth. Or they can't go back and forth if it's teacher-led, so I wanted to provide for them that image. And here I am giving them a message. Here we go with another collaborative one. And again, you can see as the one student moves things, they appear on the other student's screen. They could both be working at the same time, but it was just me with one mouse, so one device. And again, those hash marks were just made with lines in Smart Notebook software, and they were made infinitely cloned. So you just keep pulling off as many as you need. So teacher just texted or typed a note in here of how many more, and then stretched to make it bigger. And then the student can turn around and do the same thing. And that's really why font size doesn't matter. They can just type it and then stretch it. Alright, and the teacher's going to move on to the next phase. Or give them a little happy face first, say they did a good job. Grabbing the answers from my answer pool and just dragging them up. Of course, the white one's kind of hard to see up in that one blank spot. My directions for the next slides. And then again, here's another collaborative exercise. They're just waiting for me to create the teams. Alright, more of the same. They could each be doing work. I probably should have done 2 rulers though, because they can only use 1 ruler at a time. If I had done 2 rulers, they each could grab one and be measuring stuff. Well, having a little hard time getting that ruler back out of there. There we go. And as the teacher, I of course could be following along and watching this by clicking into the group. And we're going to do the next activity. Oh, you know what just happened? The teacher made a mistake and accidentally got out, but he got back to the right page, and now the student can resume. And we're off, I believe, to the next page. Yeah, the teacher's putting in a nice little note or a happy face. So they did a good job. Alright, individual handouts. And it's going to be basically the same thing. Each student gets to do their own this time. And again, as the teacher, I can go in and monitor and help and leave notes if I wish. Teacher, once he sees everybody or she sees everybody is completed, can move on to the next one. Alright, here's just one of the built-in games that you can create for the students. One thing I would do is when I took these pictures, I took the full length of, let's say, the 10 centimeter item, and it fits it in the little square, so it gets really hard to read the numbers once the object gets larger and larger. I probably would just zoom into the last 4 centimeters of an object so it didn't get, so you could still read the numbers. But anyway, they group the length, the image length of whatever, if it's the giraffe and how long it is, and they match it up with the correct centimeters. If they're wrong, they just pop back apart, and if they're right, it collects them together. Now when they're all done, I get to see a little dancing of the items, and they could restart if they're waiting for other people to finish. Now I've changed it to the monster quiz, and again, you make teams with this. Of course, I'm going to have 2 teams of 1, so they're just competing against each other, but it is more fun the more teams you have. So this is the student view. The object is to answer the questions correctly as fast as you can. You will get all the questions, and you will have to answer all of them correctly. If you get one wrong, it will come back to you with one less possible answer. So in the end, you will get them all right. It's just going to take time. And as you answer questions correctly, your little egg will grow, and you'll see what kind of monster you get. If you get it wrong, you get the little wobble. Unfortunately, you cannot use images in the monster quiz. It's just text-based. Multiple choice or true and false questions. Alright, and we have a winner. Now from the teacher view, I can see that the game's all over, and I can click the review button. And I can see the time and the accuracy of the teams. If I have more than 2 teams, I could click the down arrow to see the next couple. Hitting the review of the questions, I can see like that was answered at 50-50, so that might be a question I'd want to review again. I can see everybody answered that right. I can see 50-50 again, everybody's right, everybody's right. That's back to the scoreboard there. Now the students, when I click the review button, actually get to see their questions that they missed. Love that game for practice. And this is the actual question quiz. So this is the student response, and they're waiting for me to activate it. This is what the teacher sees. They don't see the questions, they just start it, and you will see the percentage of completion as they answer questions. The circle fills in. Now we're going to switch back to the student view, and you can see they've got the question. Pictures aren't too bad in this size, but when they were in that game, they were kind of too small. And I made those pictures by using the tools in the Smart Notebook and just doing a snippet of it and saving it as an individual image. And then I could upload it to the quiz, I could upload it to an activity. And this is all the student has to do, is click on what they think is the right answer and proceed to the next question. "11 questions. Oh, that'll be hard to figure out." No, it does all the math for you. So now the student can see a summary of all of their questions, and they can click back and check any of the ones that they think they might have gotten wrong, and then go back and submit that. You don't have to even submit it at the end. If the test time is up, the teacher can actually end the test, and whatever answers you said, those will be submitted. So we'll just run through with this student really quick. Hopefully nobody in your class does this. This person's not even going to check their answer. Just submit. Be done with it. Alright, 100% of the questions have been answered. Now the teacher is going to end the activity and review. And now that little thing pops up. It's in your way. Just go over there and click on the gear. I had to click on it twice to get it to disappear, but yeah, just click on the little gear. Don't hit the reset button though. Alright, so now I'm reviewing the question. I see that it's a 50-50 mix between B and D, and then I can toggle to the next question and basically do my question analysis. If I would prefer to have a pie chart, I can just go up and click that little pie right there. Now I can see it as a pie chart. And then when you want, you can export the actual results. This is where you'll find the names of the students. So I'm going to open that little Excel file. If you don't have Excel, when you download that, you can open it up in Google Drive. It'll open up as a Google Sheet. So here I can see the grades for each of the students, and I can scroll to see all of the questions answered. And then there's an activity tab down at the bottom that actually displays all the questions and the possible responses and what the correct answers were. Alright, and my last page was the shouted out activity that I left, or actually added, because I didn't have one. So again, I'm either in class or I'm over a Zoom thing and I ask them a question. maybe like, what's your favorite treat? This person said pizza and submitted it, and if you click on it, you can make it bigger to show it. This is what it looks like from the student perspective. For text, they just type in the text they want to add, and they hit the button, and they can submit it. And you'll see that this person has 2 responses left. And now they're down to 1. This person's going to finish their last 2. The other option is image, and if you want both, you can actually have the students create stuff in like Google Draw, where they can put text and images together and just save a snippet and upload it, and then they could use the the image based to do both text and an image. So as the teacher now, I can take all these submissions, I could move them around, I could delete them if I didn't feel they were appropriate for the question. I could again click on it, you see it big. Now that I have more than one, I can toggle to the next one, and I can see who it is that submitted it with their little initials at the top and their own icon, which I could click on the little people over on the left and see what the shapes, whose name is represented by the shapes. Also in this tool, if you set it up ahead of time, you got a randomizer and you got other cool little activities, but I didn't create any student name lists or anything for those right now, so I can't use them. And then if you wanted to, you could change how many contributions they do, and anyway, that is how you could run a SmartSuite lesson live. Now what I'm showing you here is I can go back to that SmartSuite lesson and I can open it up later, and I have to say open with SmartSuite, and I will be able to review the contents of the student work. It will have saved. So here's the shouted out activity, still there. I'm going to go back to one of my other pages where I had, I believe this is a team collaboration. Yep, this was a team collaboration, so I can go back and see the work. Now, if I use the same notebook for another class and then refresh it, then I might lose some stuff. So it's always a good idea to make a new different copy for each class if you want to keep from overwriting